They say the people who know you best are the ones most capable of hurting you. I've learned that's not just a saying, it's a prophecy. My name is Alex, and for 8 years, I lived a life I thought was perfect. A marriage built on what I believed was an unshakable foundation of trust. But that foundation was a facade, and the truth of its weakness would be revealed in a single, devastating moment. My wife, Brianna, was my everything. We met in college, fell in love quickly, and built a shared future together. We bought a house, talked about having kids, and I genuinely couldn't imagine my life without her. She was my confidant, my partner, my best friend. Then there was my brother, Ryan. 3 years my senior, he was always the more charismatic of the two of us. He lived a couple of hours away and was a successful real estate agent. He visited us maybe once a month, and I never saw anything amiss. Brianna and Ryan got along well, and I took it for what it seemed to be. A healthy, normal relationship between a sister-in-law and brother-in-law. Looking back, the signs were there, but my trust was an impenetrable shield. 6 months ago, Brianna started taking phone calls in another room. When I'd ask who it was, she'd say her sister or a coworker. The calls became more frequent, always requiring privacy, and I never questioned it. Why would I? I trusted her completely. Then came the weekend getaways. Suddenly, Brianna, who had never been much of a traveler with friends, was going on girls' trips every few weeks. She'd come back refreshed and happy, telling me stories about spa days and wine tastings. I was glad she was getting out, so I encouraged it. I was so supportive of her newfound happiness that I missed the second red flag: Ryan's sudden unavailability. Our monthly visits became sporadic. He'd cancel last minute, claiming work emergencies or being out of town. When we did see him, he seemed different around Brianna, more attentive, more familiar. I attributed it to him being a good brother-in-law. The illusion of my perfect life came crashing down 3 weeks ago. Brianna had told me she was going on her biggest girls' trip yet, a long weekend in Napa Valley with her college friends. She was more excited about this trip than any before, spending weeks shopping for outfits and getting her hair and nails done. The night before she left, she was practically glowing. She kept checking her phone, a private smile on her face. When I asked what was making her so happy, she just said she was excited to relax with her friends. She kissed me goodbye that Friday morning, told me she loved me, and I believed her. Saturday afternoon, I was mindlessly scrolling through social media when a post from one of Brianna's college friends, Jessica, caught my attention. It was a live stream from a beautiful outdoor venue. The caption read, "Gorgeous ceremony. So happy for the bride." My blood ran cold when I recognized the resort. It was the same one Brianna had shown me pictures of, the one where she was supposedly having her spa weekend. But this was clearly a wedding. With a growing sense of dread, I watched the live stream. The camera panned across elegantly dressed guests, finally focusing on a bride in a stunning white dress walking down an aisle lined with roses. When the camera captured the bride's face, my world shattered. It was Brianna. My wife was getting married, while I sat at home thinking she was getting a facial with her friends. But the nightmare wasn't over. As the camera panned to show the groom waiting at the altar, I saw the face that would be burned into my memory forever. It was Ryan. My brother was marrying my wife. I watched in complete shock as they exchanged vows. They looked at each other with a genuine love and happiness I had only ever seen Brianna direct at me. Ryan slipped a ring onto her finger, and she threw her arms around him as the crowd cheered. The comments on the live stream were filled with congratulations from people I didn't recognize, calling them perfect together and saying they had waited so long for this day. How long had they been planning this? How long had they been together? My hands shook so badly I could barely hold my phone, but I took screenshots of everything. Their faces, the ceremony, the comments celebrating their love. Then I started making calls. First, I called my lawyer. I explained the situation and sent him the screenshots. He was as stunned as I was, but immediately began preparing divorce papers. Pennsylvania law was on my side. Adultery affects spousal support, and I had video evidence. Next, I called my parents. That conversation was brutal. My mother cried, and my father went silent for a full minute before asking me to send him the proof. They were devastated, not just by Brianna's betrayal, but by Ryan's. He had looked them in the eye for months while living this lie. Then I did something that probably wasn't my finest moment, but felt necessary at the time. I created a group text with Brianna's entire family, her parents, her sister, her aunts and uncles, and sent them the screenshots with a simple message. Since I wasn't invited to my wife's wedding, I thought you should see how beautiful she looked marrying my brother. Her family had no idea. They thought she was happily married to me. Her mother called me crying, apologizing over and over, disgusted by her daughter's behavior. But I wasn't done. I posted the screenshots on my social media with a new caption. Congratulations to my wife Brianna and my brother Ryan on their beautiful wedding. I'm sure you'll be very happy together. I've asked my lawyer to forward the divorce papers to your honeymoon suite. Within hours, my phone was exploding with calls and messages. Friends, family, co-workers, everyone was reaching out in shock and support. The post went viral. Brianna started calling me around 8 that evening. I didn't answer. She called 17 times before finally sending a text. We need to talk. It's not what you think. I responded with just 4 words. See you in court. Ryan tried to call too. I answered once just to hear what he'd say. Alex, please let me explain, he started, but I cut him off. There's nothing to explain. You married my wife. We're done. I hung up and blocked his number. The next few days were a blur of legal meetings, paperwork, and moving my things out of the house. I stayed with a friend while my lawyer worked on expediting the divorce. Since we had no children and clear evidence of adultery, the process moved quickly. The most satisfying moment came when my lawyer informed me that Brianna's new marriage wasn't legally valid since she was still married to me. They'd have to wait for our divorce to be finalized before they could actually be husband and wife. Brianna came by the house to collect some things while I was there last week. She looked exhausted and kept trying to explain, saying she never meant for it to happen this way, that she and Ryan had fallen in love, but didn't know how to tell me. She rambled about how confused she'd been, how she tried to end it with Ryan multiple times, how she'd planned to tell me after the wedding. Apparently, they'd called it a commitment ceremony, thinking they could somehow make their relationship official even though she was still married to me. When she finished her explanation, I looked at her calmly and said, Brianna, you spent 8 years lying to my face. You planned a wedding with my brother while sleeping in my bed. There's nothing you can say that will make any of this make sense. She started crying, saying she still loved me, that she was confused, and maybe we could work things out. I told her the only thing left to work out was who gets the coffee maker in the divorce settlement. The divorce was finalized yesterday. I kept the house, my retirement accounts, and my dignity. Brianna was served with papers at her job and had to explain to her colleagues why her husband was divorcing her for marrying his brother. Ryan tried to reach out through our parents, hoping we could eventually be brothers again. I told my parents that as far as I'm concerned, I'm an only child now. The worst part isn't even the betrayal. It's realizing how long I was living a lie. Every I love you, every anniversary celebration, every time she came home from a girls' trip and kissed me hello, she was acting. I was married to someone who didn't exist. But here's what I've learned. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. Brianna showed me she was someone who could lie for months, plan a wedding with my brother, and sleep next to me every night without feeling guilty. That's not someone I want in my life anyway. I'm rebuilding now. I have a new perspective on what I want in a partner, someone who doesn't require a background check and a polygraph test. As for Brianna and Ryan, I heard through mutual friends that they're having problems. Apparently, when your relationship is built on deception and betrayal, it doesn't create the strongest foundation for a marriage. Who could have predicted that? I don't wish them harm, but I don't wish them happiness either. I'm focused on my own life now, and it feels pretty good to wake up every morning knowing exactly who I'm married to. Nobody. And that's perfect for now. Sometimes the biggest betrayals are also the biggest favors, showing you who people are before you waste any more of your life on them.